They come to you from Andy's every Wednesday night, and there's nothing you can see that's as funny. It's free, like the girls in Guy Aubrey's company.
Welcome. You're looking live at Three's Comedy Radio Show. I'm Mandy Jones. I'm sitting next to
Bonnie Scalisi. How are you, everybody?
Oh.
And it's funny that I was just talking about that song was Kristen Tinsley went to see Street Fighter a couple of days ago, and she filmed them, and a bunch of people were from the comedy world were chiming in. And it's just we just love to connect people with other people.
Oh my God,
in a positive way.
We were just talking about Robin DeVito, who found if you guys don't watch our show, you know Robin DeVito, who we shout out pretty much every show because she's such a big part of our show and our lives now. She's a true follower of ours and supporter, and she's a true friend. And
she's also a Street Fighter follower. But we were talking about the essence of her. She's just got this energy about her. She's still working. She's an older woman with a great spirit and energy. I wish I had half of her energy. Her positivity.
When they came to the
I love her boyfriend. He's so cool.
Oh my God, yeah, no, they came to the 3rd of July party, and George said to her, she tells me that George said to Robin, he goes, "Why are they inviting 60-year-olds to their party?" And she was like, and I said, is he kidding? I was like, does he know who he's with? And she's like, yeah, just don't even mind him. I'm like, you guys are the coolest. You guys are royalty. You're awesome.
They are.
Laugh at the jokes. They don't heckle people. They fucking show up. They're people that they say they're going to be there, and I can count on those two heads that they'll be there. There's a lot of people
absolutely
that
they're dependable.
Comics, a lot of comics, you believe it when you see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of friends, and I get it. We all have lives. I love you guys. If you haven't made it out to a show, start coming out to shows.
Yeah. Well, it's getting things are getting slowly back to normal, and people are starting to be able to come out with the safety precautions, and there are people who will say they're going to be there, and they're going to be there, and Robin is one of them.
Yes. I mean, same as you, Esther, these are people that, I'm like, no, they say they're coming, they'll be here, don't have to...
Peter Varek, we were just talking about Street Fighter, actually, 2 seconds ago. We were talking about Robin DeVito, and we were saying how... I brought my friend Kristen Tinsley, who is a comic, and she loved Street Fighter. She was filming it, and then a lot of our comic friends were like, "Wow, who is this band? They are amazing. I'm gonna go see them next time, when they're playing and this and that." So we had Robert and Peter on our show more than once, and we shared their information on our pages, and we just love to be supportive of everybody. We want everybody to be successful.
Start coming out to shows.
So,
it's
Romero is watching. Peter goes, "Hey, watch the comments about 60-year-olds." Well, what we were just saying, Peter, is that age doesn't matter. It's the essence of who you are. And we were saying how Robin DeVito has the essence of a teenager. She's just got this positivity, and she's got so much energy that I want to be like her.
Honestly, Peter, let me explain it to you. I'm 30 years old. Robin is double my age. The amount of clothing that I love and treasure that I've accumulated in 30 years, if I could double that, I always tell Robin, I want to go into your closet. I'll pay a small rental fee, and I'll just get a couple of outfits that I'll rent and I'll bring back clean. I could just imagine, because through the decades, she's had fucking awesome style.
She has amazing style.
She walks in and she looks like a peacock. She's just
I wish she was watching, because we're talking such great things about her.
Her ears will be ringing, and we'll get you on later. Hey, Barbara McNeely. Hey, how's it going?
There's so many people tuning in. Barbara McNeely, we love you. Frank is watching. He's saying hello. Will Romero is tuning in. Joan Krupriasha. Oh, and Heather shared the show. Thank you, Heather, for sharing the show.
That's a great reminder for everybody to please hit the share button right now.
Bill
so
Hansen,
jump in.
Yeah, yes, please share the show. My boyfriend Michael Steven Spielberg is watching. Everybody, if you could share the show now, or Barbara McNeely is saying hi, Bonnie and Mandy. Felix is watching. Felix has a show on Governor's Comedy Club Radio. You should watch it. It's called Iron Chef, and he's been cooking out of his home and making really amazing things. So it's like we're trying to connect everybody to everybody. Street Fighter's a great band that we love. We're promoting them. Street Fighter, it's like we have them on our show, and we love to go to their shows, and hopefully they'll be coming to our comedy shows at some point. I know they're very busy. Stu Goldstein, how are you? And Felix is calling us chiclets. I like that.
I know, that's so cool. We do like that. We might have to do something with that, chiclets.
I like that name. It's very cute. But our title tonight is, why don't you tell them?
Well, you usually do it, but I will. Dirty Jobs. We did a Dirty Jobs episode. I would have to refer to my my TV guide here about what episode we did Dirty Jobs on. But we had so much fun because Bonnie and I are girls that have worked since we were legally allowed to.
Yes, we're very hard workers, and even with this comedy, this is like, for me, it's a hobby. We work very hard at it.
Oh yeah, and you know what? And I don't even like to diminish it and call it a hobby because it's a second job that I've always said I'm not
it's
in
the one we
comedy.
have a passion for.
Exactly, I'm not.
To do it.
It's like being honestly, people may not. This may sound silly to some, but I think comedy is a form of art, and I'm a creative person.
Yes.
And, it's like, it's something we have to do.
Yes,
so,
and Bruno is tuning in. Hi, Bruno.
Bruno.
How are you? Another really great person. So anyway, yeah, it was really interesting. That's our topic tonight, but since Peter, I think Peter Varek is still tuning in. He's the lead singer of Street Fighter. It was very interesting because Joe Scolo, I'm probably not pronouncing his name correctly, he's the head of the band Full House. And he put a post up, which was a political post, where he was asking people their opinion. And I thought that post was quite interesting. And Peter had quite an opinion on that post, and so did I. But I think the good thing about it was that when I talked to Joe, who has a completely different view than I do about the politics in the situation, I said a compliment to him, because I don't like to fight with people. That's not what I'm about. I have my thoughts and opinions and ideas. Everybody has different thoughts and opinions and ideas, and that's what makes the world interesting.
Right.
We don't have to agree on everything. So I like that people were talking on that post and not trashing each other on the post. They were having a discussion,
right,
which was going pretty smoothly compared to many I've seen, which are like, that when no one's listening to anyone, then it starts to like calling people names and threatening people, and so I thought I had a little bit of hope because it was a really interesting post, and it made me think a little bit. And that's the thing is, neither side wants to listen anymore because they don't want to be attacked.
Right.
So they just shut down.
Right.
But if you could talk to people, you might be able to shed some insight. Oh, I didn't think of that.
Right.
And get people to really open up a little and think a little more.
Right. And same goes vice versa. Like being vulnerable, you and I allow ourselves to be vulnerable people and share stories.
Yes.
And then people who are going through similar things, or maybe it's a metaphor for something they're going through, also can see inspiration in each other. Like it's funny because in the beginning of our relationship, I feel like I was very much in one direction and you were very much in the other, and I feel like through working with one another, we've reeled each other into the other one's thought process a little bit more. And the collaborative is great. I'm a hybrid now that I've had your teachings.
And I'm the hybrid from yours.
And it's because we're not embarrassed to be vulnerable with one another, and have our guards up and be real
and
about...
be vulnerable to actually put our real lives on TV. I get the most positive feedback is when I do Quarantine Life and I have my boys on there who are actually downstairs right now because my electricity went out and I almost couldn't do the show. And Mandy's like, just bring the boys over. So my boys are downstairs. Who the hell knows what they're doing down there to Mandy's house? They could be tearing down the wallpaper. But Mandy's just like, bring them over. We'll be. So Robin is tuning in. Nancy Weems is saying sharing is caring. Yes, it is. So Felix wants to know the topic. The topic is we're revisiting dirty jobs. And Felix, I know you had a bunch of them. And she and I were looking at our lists, and we're not sure which ones we told and which ones we didn't tell. So why don't we just start? And if you guys remember it, who have watched it before, just stop us.
Yeah, say pass.
We don't want to repeat ourselves.
Yeah, I think we were kind of going in chronological order.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I think we're gonna start at maybe like middle as we got older. Things that we have done. Yeah. So, do you want to start with one of your tales? And guys, we want to also obviously hear about your dirty jobs as well.
Yeah. So start typing in your dirty jobs. Or your jobs that, like not this job right now, which is a voluntary job, is something I have a passion for and I love. But I had a lot of shitty jobs that I hated. And for a long time, a lot of people go to their job and just get through it to pay the rent, the mortgage, or whatever, and they hate what they do. Now I'm doing this because I have a passion for it. I love it. But I started off as a kid. I did every job you can imagine because my parents weren't like, even though we lived in Syosset, my mom wanted to instill in me, you don't work, you don't get money. You have to do stuff to have money. Mm-hmm. So for an allowance, I started off, I think I was 9. I would mow the lawn and vacuum the entire downstairs and dust everything in the house, and I got $20 for that.
That's pretty good money back then.
Back then, that was good money because my friend Ann had to do a lot more, and she got nothing. So
she got good praise.
That was my earliest
She got
job.
to live with a roof over her head.
Oh, so Peter's talking. Oh wait, they're having a discussion between Peter and Robin. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, Rob.
Get a
so
room,
Peter
guys.
Said, Robin DeVito. Here they say you are wonderful but old. We never said Robin was old.
No, Robin, you can
Absolutely
replay
not.
this fucking tape. Peter's trying to sabotage us. Peter, I'll throw
Peter
your ass
also
right out.
said that I had sex with Michael right before his gig, and it was not true. And I told him that in person because I don't, what happened was this is the story behind that, Peter. So we're gonna put it to bed. First of all, we never
pun intended.
Somebody. What happened is somebody else that won't be mentioned talked about people.
There was a third person in the car with you.
No, this is like when Michael's like, you blend 3 stories into one. Somebody that will not be mentioned was talking about women who are in menopause. Okay. I am one of them, proudly.
Well, yeah, you're a human being, right? Wait a minute. Yes. You're a human being.
Thank you.
So gravity's gonna take its toll, and you're gonna get older. That's part of being a human being.
Right.
Does everyone understand that?
Right. Unless you're dead and you're a woman, you will go through menopause. So somebody who we will not go into was kind of putting some people down who are older women, like myself. I'm an older woman, so I was saying about Robin that she's one of the most energetic, positive people that I know, and she's an older woman like myself.
Yeah.
I'm an older woman. So, Peter, it was not what you are describing to Robin. You took it in the wrong way. And let me put to bed the fact, all right, Michael and I, we have sex a lot and often. But we did not have sex that day outside in the car at your gig, because what happened was, are we being like...
Are we frozen? We're working here, so okay. I think we're okay.
What happened was, I came and I asked you when the show was starting, because Michael had liquor in the car. And when you said we're not going on for 20 minutes, instead of waiting on a line and trying to get a drink at the bar, we went back to his car and I had a cocktail in the car. And that's what we did in the car.
Or a quick shag, whatever you want to call it.
But that's the
Peter.
truth. Peter's saying, Peter.
Well,
Peter doesn't like me.
Well, we're gonna bring up.
Robert likes me, but Peter doesn't.
We're gonna bring up that Peter is the demise of both Jim Raya and Tony Landolfi.
That's right, Peter. You were the last one on the show, and both our co-hosts never returned. So how about we're putting that on you, Peter?
Let's call it even at that point.
No, I really like Peter, but Peter,
but Robert's always better.
Peter is getting me wrong. He's
No, I think he's trying. I think it's a sense of humor. I think he's just got bad jokes, and we love you, Peter. You got a great sense of style. I think your jokes.
Robin said Peter's like a millionaire, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on air, but. So Barbara McNeely is saying,
he's a millionaire. I'm still gonna say he's a fucking not the best joke teller.
So Barbara McNeely is saying, I'm old, so I cut the grass with a push mower and I earn 25 cents a week. I had an electric lawn mower, and my parents didn't realize that if I went over the power cord, I probably would have like sizzled in 2 seconds. So was the $20 really worth me almost killing myself? But all right, so do you want to tell one of yours, and then we'll get back to Felix has one, and Michael has one, a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, one of the things that I did right before I started college was I was working at Polo Ralph Lauren in Tanger Outlets, and I was working in the building that's all the clothing side, and then they opened up like 2.5 weeks into me working there. They opened up Polo Ralph Lauren Home, which is all like the sheets and the bedding and drapes and all that shit. So they were like, oh, you are new staff, like you're gonna work at the other store. So no problem. But when you got there and you worked at the register, you had to, part of your like criteria, how good of a person employee you were, was how much data you could get out of the people during the transaction. So
like the email kind of
so
thing?
I'd be like, oh, would you, what's your email, what's your address? And it's like literally not letting me ring people up until I've like answered like a 27 like fucking survey. And people kept saying to me, oh, well, my all my info is I shop at Polo Ralph Lauren all the time. And I would say, I'm sorry, it's a new system. This is Polo Ralph Lauren Home, because they literally didn't congregate. They didn't they didn't make the systems into one. People were so mean to me. People were like, what do you want, a blood sample? People were like, what do you want, a pap smear? They're like, what? They're like, I'm not giving you a fucking email. Like, what do you want? And like, there was like no like override button. I would be like zeroing out like just a bunch of fucking, it was so bad.
Oh my God. That reminded me of a job that I didn't even write down. But I want to get to a couple of the people. Hi Eileen McGregor, how are you? Hi Ed, how are you? I love Ed because he goes, what's up, two hot broads? I love you, Ed. You're so nice. So Felix, who has a show here on Gov's Comedy Club Radio called Let's Eat Long Island, he had a dirty job at 13 at the Garden City Country Club. I would shag golf balls. They give you this tool that scoops up the golf balls, and you get paid $1 a bag. And you also stood in the field, and golfers would drive golf balls at you like bullets. I think for fun, they would try to hit you with the golf balls. Rich people can be mean. That's the lesson learned from that. And my boyfriend is saying, I had to take a pay loader and crush down the garbage in the dumpster. I would do it for free if I could use the pay loader again. Michael's into equipment.
Heavy machinery.
Into machinery, yes. So Robin and Peter, yeah, I loved how Peter was like, so they have such a great relationship, him and Robin, that she like impromptu videotaped a whole thing that Street Fighter was doing. So Ed is saying, does watching Mike Rowe on TV in dirty jobs count as a dirty job?
I love
Lou
Mike
Pratt.
Rowe.
Lou Pratt is watching.
Lou.
How are you?
See you, Lou.
I feel like I've seen you and your son so often lately. My boys are downstairs, Lou. My friend Lou Pratt also has an autistic son. He's so sweet. And we saw him at 2 events. And my boys are downstairs because the electricity went out in my house. And my younger son goes ballistic if he can't play his games. And my older son will sweat to death if without air conditioning. So Mandy is such an awesome person. She's like, just bring them over. So they're downstairs, and
But I want to interject because they're what 7? How old are your boys? 22 and 26.
Oh, Brandon and Alexis will be 22 tomorrow. It's their real
22.
birthday. It was so sweet. Everybody was wishing them a happy birthday because we went to a pre-birthday lunch. But their birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah.
They'll be 22.
Okay. So 22 and what? 26.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're. I know you always say you know they're not typical, but 22, 26, you're gonna fucking sweat to death, and you're gonna want your video games no matter who the fuck you are.
Yeah, nobody likes to lose their power. That's true.
So it was just funny because Bonnie called me. She goes, we have a little bit of a hang up, and I thought I'm gonna be doing the show by myself. I thought that was the next thing that was coming. Like, we don't have power. The boys are going to detonate in like 45 minutes when this house goes below a certain temperature.
Brandon was already pacing.
Yeah, because like things are not charged.
Oh, yeah.
Draining of the
TV wasn't turning on. His thing.
And, trying everything and nothing is working.
Oh, yeah. So Robin has... Robin, I'll read yours in a minute. I'm going to go to mine. Okay, so then for paid jobs, I got the penny saver job. I'm sure... How many of you had one of those penny saving jobs? The penny saver back, I think they still have the penny saver. You got like a million of them. You had to fold them, put them into plastic bags, and then deliver them throughout the neighborhood.
Oh, when you got them, they weren't pre-rolled.
No, you had to roll them, and they paid you practically nothing. So I did this job. I think I was, again, in my teens, I think 14, 15, whatever. I had to have the papers. My mom had to sign the papers. And I was very diligent at doing the job. And then it gets old after a while. At a certain point, I still remember this. I was halfway through my route and I was like so like tired. And I took a whole bunch of them and threw them in the trash. And somehow they caught me and they fired me. That was the only job I ever got fired at. I was 14. But it taught me a lesson.
Yeah, don't throw the merchandise.
Right. Don't. If you're going to throw something away, do it in your own garbage. Don't do it in somebody else's garbage because you'll get ratted on.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want me to tell Robin's story and then you'll go?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So Robin DeVito worked at Fortunoff's in the backyard store, and her girlfriend and her were about 18. And when something had to be taken from the top shelf, the hornball guys made us go up the ladder, and they would be checking out our asses because we were wearing shorty shorts. Oh my God, Robin, that's so funny. I was standing at the top. I was standing at the top of the steps talking to Mandy, and my boyfriend. This was at the thing in your backyard, and Michael was at the bottom of the steps, and he said to me, you're wearing blue underwear tonight. And I'm like, how do you know that? And he didn't tell me till the end of the night. He's like, because I was at the bottom of the stairs looking up.
Just looking up.
Yeah, because he had this funny thing where he was dating this really smart woman before me. I'm not smart. And she had a doctorate, and I'll probably get the story wrong, but he said to her, I can tell with 98% accuracy the color of your underwear by just tasting them. So she goes, and she had a doctorate and she was really smart. She goes, no, you can't. And then the answer was, I'll probably screw this up. Michael, type in the answer. He goes, yes, I can tell what color the shorts are by tasting them because my eyes will be open. I never said it. It was like a trick question.
Gotcha.
It was a trick question.
Riddle.
All right, it's your turn, Mandy.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Bruno. Glenn is watching The Boys, and Glenn's brother is watching The Boys.
So, my mom, last time we talked about this, we didn't get to her story. She worked at KFC, and what's great about this show is that I'm hearing stories that I'd never heard before. So my mom worked at KFC.
I love your mom.
Love my mom. She worked at KFC, and she says the floors were so thick in grease. There was just such a thick layer of grease. And she would ride her bike from Belmore to East Rockaway to work at KFC.
That reminds me of oh, like I walk 10 miles in the snow to get to school.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, Mom, that's probably so dangerous with the greasy fucking pedals on the way home.
Oh my God, exactly. I love KFC. I love all that greasy food. So we have a bunch of people that are tuning in who I just want to say hi to. Lauren De Jesus.
Lauren!
How are you? Great. Captain Splash, how are you?
Oh, Captain Splash, another sweetheart.
Oh, another sweetheart. David Lange said he did the penny saver, roped my little sister into helping. That's smart. Get other people involved.
There you go. And give her a cut or not.
And Lou Prats is saying Brian hates when the lights go out. I'm assuming he's like Brandon, like he wants his DVD player or his VHS player or whatever, and without electricity you don't have any of that. So Nancy Weems is saying management because I couldn't be friends with no one and I worked 60 plus hours.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys know me as a comedian and as someone who shares my entire life, but at work I really don't ask about your kids. I don't ask if people are married because I don't want people asking me every weekend what I've been doing and stuff. And then I just never really start those kind of conversations. Like I've been working with people for 2 years and like I know if they have like a kid, like you know what I mean. Like I've never like, oh, so how long you been married and where do you guys live, and like I'm not personal with people at all with that kind of stuff.
You kind of want to keep them.
Right. And like Nancy saying like she couldn't be friends with people, like I find that I put that divide up so that way in business when I'm have to be tough, we're not just friends and it's not
So is it people that's on your same level? People are lower level?
I think anybody generally. I mean, I've been at my company for so long now that it's going on 3. Was it just 3 years or was it just 2 years? No, it was just 2 years. So it's just 2 years. So I really am getting to know some of the people. Like the one woman who's like my mentor, me and her have become great friends. She actually lives like 3 blocks away. So me and her are super close. But other than that, I don't really talk to people about their personal lives because then it gets awkward.
Yeah, you have to be careful because, I've never been in the business world. So that's why like teachers that's my job that I'll get to later. I became a teacher. The teachers were like a team together, and it's very different than being in the corporate world, being in the business world. The teachers had each other's backs,
right? Because
we were. It's hard to explain. It's not the same as in business, and we had a union, and we were an entity, collective entity that had each other's backs. So like comedy is actually one of the first things where it's like I'm seeing things that I'm not used to, like people being not very supportive, and I didn't understand it at first because I didn't come from the type of corporate world.
Right.
But I was there were many terrible things about the job of being a teacher. But one of the good things was the teachers really, like, when you got into that teacher room, they were your therapy, man. Like, everybody would be like, oh, and this parent said this, and oh, can you believe the principal's doing that? Oh, like, this kid did this. And if we didn't have each other to vent and get some steam off, we all probably would have had heart attacks and died. It was that bad.
Yeah.
So, Felix is saying, beware of men wearing black patent leather shoes. They reflect up. Oh, I think he's talking about Michael. That's funny. So Nancy Weems is saying 14 years.
Oh, management, yeah.
Management in 14 years. So is it your turn or my turn?
What were we just talking about? I think I went. I feel like I went with the greasy floors, my mother and the greasy floors.
Okay, so then I started going to college, and I had the summer free, and I became a camp counselor at Camp Soreka in Syosset, and I watched kids, and that's when I knew that I loved kids. And my best friend, Anne, I got her the job. This is so funny because I did tell this story already, so those of you who heard it, I apologize for repeating myself, but Anne is a great person. She's my best friend, but certain people can handle children and certain people can't. And this job was difficult for her. She had second graders, I had kindergarten kids, and they were running circles around her. I had like an activity plan because I know the attention span of kids is like 15 minutes tops. That's a lot for a little kid. And they gave us a schedule. They're like, oh, the kindergarten camp group, they'll play soccer for an hour. Then they'll play dodgeball for an hour. Then they'll do... I was like,
They'll be
are
doing
you
it for
crazy?
10 minutes.
Exactly. So I made my own schedule where it was like this long. I had different activities. I bought my own thing. So I was successful at it. I enjoyed it. But she got me a job at the Foxhole and Country Club as a cocktail waitress, where she was better at it than I was. It was almost like this was her. She was better at that, and I was better at this. And everything about that job, I sucked at. I would go into the weddings, and people would tell me what they wanted to drink, and I would write it down so I wouldn't forget it. And then I'd have drinks on the tray, and I'd come back with the drinks, and the people had moved to different spots, so I didn't know who wanted that drink that they ordered. And so I started just going like, hey, do you want a strawberry daiquiri? I just started giving the drinks away, and the people who ordered them never got them. That's only one of many stories, but yeah, I digress. So now it's your turn.
Well, I had a couple that were about people other than myself. Like, so my father, he used to deliver, well, not deliver, but pick up medical waste from from hospitals and nursing homes and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So he went in the one day to pick up an order of stuff, and the ladies in the office say, oh, we also have something else in the fridge. Can you take it with you? And my dad said, well, what is it? And they said, it's a leg. And so my dad was like, okay. So my dad goes back out to his truck. He gets the proper, bucket that it's supposed to be in. And he comes in with his cart. And then he goes in the room with the lady. And he's saying to, as he's taking the leg, he's saying to the leg, he's like, I'm sorry, man, this is just my job. Like, I'm sorry I have to do this to you, and he, puts
Oh,
it.
my God.
And, the lady was just, laughing because, my dad's like, well, it could be worse. It could be, him. But anyways, on the way out, my dad said, rolling that card out, he said all the ladies in the office were looking at him. But my dad's so desensitized. Like, my dad, that kind of stuff doesn't really, bother him so much. But he said he had some very interesting stories with that.
Especially back in, when he was doing that, that's like very rare.
It was not regulated as well or as close. Like, literally, they're like, oh, can we add a leg to the order? And it's like a fucking saran wrapped fucking leg that he, put in a fucking drum. And
he had no idea.
And he was like, well, what is it? Oh, a leg.
So Nancy Weems is saying, next job wanted me to manage, but I didn't. But still had it in me, talked a lot into quitting. And she went into the Navy because he liked to hold his breath. So somebody she worked with, Nancy, is that what you're talking about?
Oh, okay. So she said she talked a lot of people into quitting, so she was inspiring people to do other things.
That maybe it was better for them.
Yeah, Nancy, that's a good thing. I mean, people need to be happy where they are,
yes.
And me and, Bonnie's retired. But I love the job that I work at, but I also love the relief of comedy and having this to look forward to, as we call it, hobby, passion, second job, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So you just reminded me of my dad had a job where he was a camp counselor. He was the head camp counselor at a sleepaway camp. That's what he did in the summer. And he brought my mother to someplace up in the Catskills. And I was there as a little kid. I don't remember any of it. So I just know it from the stories. And he was in charge of this whole sleepaway camp. And he was never around. And my mom was there. It was just me and my sister at the time. My brother wasn't born yet. And he did it for 2 years in a row. And my mom said to him after the third year, because he would go off and she'd be in this hot, sweaty cabin with just me and my sister. And she goes, if you take this job again next year, don't come home. And so he quit the job.
It's also this fucking
Yeah, I mean that.
cabin.
Yeah, but so is it your turn?
You can go.
Okay. All right. So I've had let's say I talked about the Foxhole Inn Country Club. That all right. So from there, I graduated college, and right away, I graduated college and I got a substitute job as a teacher, substitute teacher, because I graduated in the middle of the year because I transferred to Buffalo University, which screwed me over, and I had to go transfer to Oneonta, where I graduated. I lost a semester.
Okay.
So I graduated in the middle of the year.
Okay.
And so I took a substitute teaching job for that whole rest of the year because, they always hire people in the summer for teaching jobs.
Right, yeah, it was like awkward,
Yeah. And, oh boy, being a substitute teacher, you earn your money. It's like blood money. I can't, there's so many things that happen. I can't, and they gave you pretty good money. I think back then it was $100 a day, but you would come in, you wouldn't know what grade you were teaching. You would go in there. Sometimes the teacher left the plan, sometimes she didn't. You were in charge of all the kids. You had to know what specials they had. You had to know when to take them to lunch. It was so stressful. And this one boy in particular in Jericho, because Jericho's a very rich, very affluent area, he was being particularly rude and nasty to me as the sub. And I went over to his desk, and he actually had a book on his desk called How to be rude to the sub, or something like that. How to bug the sub.
Okay.
That was the name of the book. How to bug the sub. So he was so bad that after school I made it a point to talk to his mother, and I said he did this, like he was making fun of another kid, he was doing all these things that he did, and she was just one of these wealthy Jericho rich bitches,
yeah.
And she's like, well, what did you do? But like turning it back on me.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. And then that Jericho had unlimited. The teachers had unlimited sick leave. I get a call every frickin' day to sub at that school, and I would say, what grade am I teaching? Because I didn't want to teach the upper grades. I only wanted to teach the lower grades. And the principal said to me, you can't ask what grade. You either take the job or you don't take the job. So I said, you know what? I had District 26 in Queens that was calling me all the time.
Yeah.
I had other districts. I didn't need Jericho District. So I said, take my name off the sub list.
Yeah.
You enjoy yourself and goodbye.
Yeah, I know.
There's a certain point that the money is not worth the aggravation.
Right, and you would have taken the job, but can I be mentally prepared for if I'm going to be hanging out with kindergartners or if I'm going to be hanging out with 11th graders? No, but I'm just saying, you would have taken the job either way. You were just asking to know what am I walking into.
Yeah, no, I was kind of again, I was protecting myself because I did not want to deal with, the older kids were kind of, they knew the day with the sub is a day to
free day.
Fuck everybody, and so Bill Hansen is saying wasn't in band camp, which is it's kind of like a funny thing that Michael told me about. And Nancy Weems is saying better for me they were lazy. Lauren De Jesus is saying I worked at a sad job at an animal hospital. I had to be there to clean up and be there to hold the animals while they were being put to sleep.
Aww.
And then take care of the bodies when they passed. Lauren, I didn't know that about you. That is a really emotional and such an important job. I took my cat, and it makes all the difference in the world to the owner. My friend Ann, her dog was in this, he died alone, and they didn't find out about it till the next day. And when I put my cat to sleep, we knew the cat had cat AIDS. And we had...
I didn't even know.
There is such a thing. It was a kitten. And I knew it was dying. My dad paid $800 to extend the cat's life.
Oh my God.
And the cat was only supposed to live a month. It ended up living 3 months. and it was like coughing up blood and all this. And I brought it to this place. I wish I could say the name of the place because they were wonderful. And they had me go in with the cat, and it was a living room setting, and I was his name was Max, and I was petting him, and they're like, he's already gone.
Yeah.
And they like, so he was with somebody who loved him.
Yeah.
So Lauren, that is one of the most important jobs. I can't even think of anything that's more. It's like you emotionally draining, but so important to the. I think some animals are better than a lot of people I know. Animals are like God's creatures. So Lauren, awesome for you. Hey, Dan Romano is watching. How are you, Dan? How are you doing? We're talking about dirty jobs, so maybe you want to chime in with
what have you
jobs
done
in your past.
Yeah, what you do growing up, Dan?
Anything you want. Now it's Mandy's turn.
Okay. My sister got in trouble growing up, and she had to serve some community service for the summer. And she worked at this ranch where my sister is just a complete character, and like, so she would go every day, but she would try to do like as little farm or what physical work as possible. Like, so it was this ranch that had all these animals, and there would schools or camps would like show up with kids for like tours, and my sister would just hijack. She would just like see a bus and be like, "Oh, you're here for the tour," like, and she would walk them around, like not even necessarily know the animals, be making up names of all the animals. She'd be like, "Oh, and this is Greg, our koala," and literally she'd be like, "He doesn't like," she'd be just making all this stuff up. The man who ran the place would put goats in his minivan and like go to Hess up the road and gas up his car. It was just so ridiculous, and I was young, and like I was just like, it was just such a funny summer. But that was her punishment for what she had done.
But she ended up enjoying it.
But yeah, she did as little work as possible. She made the most of it.
But we were talking. Hi, Jan Brenner. Jan Brenner's watching.
And
we were talking about something else, and it reminded me of a job that I didn't have on my list that
okay.
I forgot that I had, which was a really terrible job. Was again, I was in college, and I was a telemarketer.
Ooh, that's hard.
Because that your story reminded me of that.
Oh, the questions. Yeah.
So basically, you were in this room with lots of other people with phones. Back then, there were phones. And you had to call up strangers, and first of all, they had to meet the criteria. Like, they had to be between the ages of blah 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 and whatever race and whatever all these requirements. You had to get past the first part. Then finally, when you found somebody that fit the thing, you had to go through a list of questions, and you had to keep them on the phone and like keep saying like, it's almost finished. We're almost, and like you said, Mandy. They wanted to kill me by the end of the phone conversation. They were like, I'm not going to answer any more questions. How many more questions do you have? I'm like, and they asked the same fucking question in 10 different ways. Like, whatever it was about Bud, soda or whatever. Yeah. Oh, do you like soda that's bubbly? Do you like soda that's bubbly? Do you like soda? And they're like, all right, are we almost done here? I'm like, and I'm looking at my list, and I have like 50 more questions to go. I'm like, yes, we're almost done here, and you only got credit if you completed the whole entire thing. If they hung up on you, you didn't get paid.
Zero.
That was one of the worst jobs I ever had.
Yeah, that is why I take pride. I'm gonna talk about my job currently for a moment. I take pride in it because it's something that I believe in. So I'm selling. It's all stuff for EPA requirements. So you don't have to do this stuff if you don't want to, dude. But the government's mandating you do it. So it's a good idea that, like, you know what I mean? The services and the testing that we do at my company, it's kind of sounds random if people don't know what specialty kind of field I'm in. But if you don't, I don't feel like I'm selling the people. When I write up a quote and say this is what it costs, the penalties of, like, they'll charge you $37,000 a day for for certain penalties, and like they just threaten that and they hold that over you, and they say actually just they get there and they say, well, now that we know about it, you got to fix it and prove us that you fixed it type of thing. But I don't feel like I'm selling or doing anything that I don't believe in.
You're helping them.
It's not some fly-by-night, it's like, exactly, I'm making sure you guys have all the correct paperwork for when the state walks on your property. You prove that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do.
You're protecting them.
Exactly.
You're protecting them.
Exactly.
So Jan Brenner is saying, sorry he's late, he'll watch the playback.
Yes.
If everybody could share the show when the show is over, I know when I try to share it, it goes to Messenger. But if you're better with technology, share it now. If you're not, when the show is over, could everybody just share it? It would be very helpful. Oh, okay. There's something just came in Messenger. I'll talk about that after. So Nancy Williams was a stable hand with horses.
Oh,
That's a cool job, Nancy. That is amazing. But the only other job I had before I became a teacher. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
My best friend Anne, I love her. She's like my sister. She's my sister, even though she's not my biological sister. She is an amazing, she had all these different jobs, and one of them was she was a chef and she baked cakes and pastries. She made my wedding cake for my second wedding. She made the frickin' wedding cake and decorated it and everything. So I had the summers off, and I was like, as a teacher, I was so emotionally drained because I give everything I had to those kids that I used the summer, and I didn't want to work during the summer. That was the one thing I was like, the summer's for me. I want to catch up with my own kids, catch up with all the things I didn't do. And my best friend Anne was like, can you just come and help me as an assistant pastry chef? And we'll work together. It'll be so fun. But what she forgot to tell me is her boss, who owned this catering firm, was a fucking lunatic and insane. And Anne was deathly afraid of her. And I was like, if you don't like working here, why don't you quit? And she was so afraid of this. I said, it's America. It's not slave labor. You don't have to work for her. You can quit.
We can have the summer off and just chill. We don't have to get abused by this lady.
So I would go in, and Anne would be like, giving me simple things to do. I'd take the little squirt and I'd make the little pretty things all around the cake or whatever. And then this crazy boss would come in and she'd be like, well, you didn't have this ready, you didn't have that ready. And really yelling at my friend. And the thing is, when you attack my friends and you go after people that I care about, something happens to me where I'm not even going to...
I don't even want to make threats. I don't even know what I'm going to do.
I'm not going to make threats, but don't come after people I care about. Because so basically, after she was done, I took my friend Anne aside and I said, you don't need this. You are very talented. You don't need to put up with this fucking crap.
Right.
And I convinced her to quit that job, and she got a much better job.
Good.
Where she was treated much better and made more money.
There you go.
And so, just don't go after my friends. If you want to go after me, that's something else. Don't go after my friends, because a switch flips, and I will make sure that right is correct in the end. That the person who is doing the threatening will pay. So, but I digress.
Yeah.
So it's your turn, Mandy.
Yeah, no, just back.
Oh, Angela Marie, how are you?
No.
And Jennifer Lantini. Jennifer, I love you. I just want to say that. I just saw Jennifer last night.
Aw. We got 11 minutes left.
11 minutes. We're talking about dirty jobs.
Real quick housekeeping. Got to be a member of Three's Comedy Radio Show 2. That's how you see the archive of all of our episodes, along with what's coming up next week. Always topics, so you know. And whenever Bonnie and I do promos for any bands or services that you could get, that's where you find us. Three's Comedy Radio Show 2. You said it's my turn? I'm going to talk... what I'm going to talk about... it's just basically briefing on what you said about Anne working for a much better company, more money, more respected.
Because she's like me. She has low confidence.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're both, her and I, you know, we put up with a lot of stuff. And Anne is very similar to me. That she'll take it, and then, boom.
Right.
So, you know, she does the same thing for me. She would tell me, you could do better than that. And like we were each other's therapists for almost 20 years because we didn't have time to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
So like that's how we survived. She worked full time. She had a family, and you know, a very challenging life, same as me. And we were each other's therapists. We would go out maybe every other week for dinner. That's the only fun thing we did.
Yeah.
That was the only entertainment besides going to Governor's Comedy Club, which I love Governor's Comedy Club. And that's my other release of anxiety was to laugh at the comics. I didn't know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what got us through working full time with kids and stress. And we were there for each other. So I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No, I was just going to say that literally my last job was a great stepping stone to where I am now. I wouldn't have been at the job I am now without the knowledge I learned at the first job. But my first job, my first full-time real job my boss was a fucking hard ass. And I felt like I put in a day and a half's work and that I didn't get anything done and I didn't feel appreciated and I came home crying and I came home...
It's like, what the fuck is with some of these bosses? They think they're going to get more out of you if they treat you like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know what? You get more out of people when you make them feel good about themselves.
Right.
You all you do is create rage and hate. And really, people despise you. So why not pat them on the back and tell them their good qualities? You don't want them to walk all over you, but there's a thin line between abusing someone, making them go home and cry.
Right.
Because I had two bosses too, so I understand in the teaching world.
Yeah.
I had one who really built us up and made us feel fantastic about ourselves, and another who did exactly what you're talking about. And you know what? That second one, I did nothing extra for that person.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I did all these extra things that I didn't get paid for. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, I know. I would wake up like in the middle of the night like dreaming about like, was I supposed to do that, or did I like having like very mundane dreams because I was just always stressed out. And like I've vocalized that to my boss now, and he's like, we don't want you to bring work home. Like, we want you to decompress, and so you're fresh when you're here for the 45 hours that you're here. You're fresh.
He sounds like an awesome
boss. No, he really is, because his grandfather started the company, so he worked for his dad growing up, and his dad's more like our parent, you know, your parents, my mom's parents, more like iron fist. You don't get a lot of pats on the back. You're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. You don't get told good job. You're supposed to be fucking doing what you're supposed to be doing anyways.
Right. It's so different trains of thought.
Right.
And different people respond to it differently.
Right.
Maybe somebody else like that motivates them, but somebody like you and I, it shuts us down.
Right. And
turns us off.
Right. And my boss actually knows that about me, and he'll approach me with like, great job with this. Can we can't believe you got 30 done. Think we can get 10 done by the end of the week, and that'll be like a challenge instead of like, why are these 10 not done? Yeah, like
positive.
He knows to put a positive spin, and I think he probably knows that other people in my company respond better to different ways. I think he's in tune to that, and that's part of being a manager. As I'm sure Nancy Weems would know. You know, you
Nancy
have to
Weems
know.
Is saying guns. So Nancy, I'm not
you
quite
just
sure what
shoot
you mean by
people
that.
You have a problem with
Guns, I don't know if that's the answer, but Michael won't let me have a gun, but
Bonnie and I should not carry guns, because when asked to not, like, when saying, like, you won't shoot me, we will be trigger-happy psychos.
And we can't have guns.
Don't question my authority.
Yeah. But, as far as the bosses go, in my life now, I do this because I want to do this, but the biggest thing is, if you say you can't do something, or you try to stop me by some other way, it's going to have the opposite effect of what you want to have. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to figure out something else to get back in another way. And instead of giving up, I'm going to put the pedal to the metal and give it even more emphasis than maybe I would have on my own said, no, I don't need this. But if you challenge me or threaten me, that has the effect on me that I'm going to do better. I'm going to put more effort into it. I'm going to work on my craft. I'm going to beat you at your own game.
You guys, I don't know if you guys have been on the Facebook this weekend. We had a great event. We have more coming up, so please stay tuned. We already have another date and another location that we will be releasing probably by the weekend, I would think. We'll have that info out for you guys. So please stay tuned on our pages, because Bonnie and I are not going anywhere. You build us a roadblock and we're just going to make a fucking ramp with the thing.
I have 2 autistic boys downstairs, and with no electricity. And Mandy and I have been doing this show for over a year. We're not newbies to Governor's Comedy Club Radio. We have been doing it for over a year. And we had passion for it, and we gave our loyalty to it since the beginning. And we'll go when we're ready to go. No one's going to do anything to make us feel like we're going to be forced out. Maybe we would have thought about leaving before, but you try to challenge us, it has the opposite effect of what you want.
Well, what I want to share is a really funny, quick anecdote.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No. What I want to share is a funny, quick anecdote is we were in the green room at Governor's after a show that Bonnie and I put on for Three's Comedy Radio Show when Tony was the host. Tony was a host that night, and Rich Walker was our guest.
Oh, I love Rich Walker.
And we were in the green room for the 90 Division Avenue, Gov's Levittown, and Rich looks at Tony, because Tony's a grown man who's been in comedy for 2 decades, and said, "Oh, I see why you picked these girls." And I laughed in Rich's face, and I said, "Oh my God, you think that he picked us? You think he had a choice? No, we picked him. He was lucky enough to get stuck with us." So just the entire tradition of what men and women see, and when you see 2 women who've been in this less than half a decade combined, we're not going anywhere, and we're having nothing but fucking fun, and you could be on the train with us, or you could get off.
Right, we support each other. We Michael calls it the crab in the bucket mentality, where a lot of these comics, they will step over each other and not be happy for each other when somebody has a success. And Mandy and I are the opposite. And anybody who's with us, us together, but anybody who's also with us, we support, oh God, we support anybody who is nice to us. All we do is just be nice to us. That's all we ask.
Be humble and kind, everybody.
Don't attack us.
Just be humble and be kind. I mean, I had a great time the other night on the Dan Romano show with my husband and Sammy Ray.
She's so cool.
And Las Vegas, who are reggaeton music artists. And I've been like throwing their stuff up on my page because they're the kind of people that are creatives that understand what that means for them to just have my but my base of friends for a moment, just for a day. Maybe a couple people that don't know them, we have a ton of the mutual friends, but maybe a couple people might have friended them or saw it and might check them out. And that's what it's all about. It's just it's funny because we say crabs in a bucket. I'm going to end on this. My rugby, one of the things on my list, dirty jobs, I was a rugby manager. And my the coach of the team, he would say, he would tell a little anecdote about a man. There's all dead starfish on they've all washed ashore, and there's a man throwing starfish into the ocean one by one. And a man comes down and says to the man throwing the starfish, he's like, "What are you doing? Like, you cannot save all of these starfish." And as he's picking them up, he just goes, but it matters to that starfish.
Oh.
But it matters to that starfish. Because
I love that.
Yeah, because for each one, it does matter. So, we might not be touching everybody, but if just one person, each time, each interaction, it multiplies.
Right. We care about people. I just want to say hi to Luis Mauricio, who is an amazing singer, and her husband Phil, who owns a restaurant in Oyster Bay called Cafe El Dente. Go and support that restaurant. It's amazing food and an amazing venue.
We'll put that on the page. We'll put that on Three's Comedy Radio Show too.
Luis, if you could just give a little paragraph of what you want us to say about your restaurant.
Yeah, message it to Bonnie and she'll get it to me.
We are join the Three's Company Radio Show page.
2. I'll repost it again so it's at the top of my feed.
And we recommend that place. I performed there with the Jester Squad over a year ago, and we had an amazing time. They were so sweet to us. They gave us food and they took really good care of us, and they were amazing. And Ed is saying, I want in on that. LOL. I don't know what he's talking about. Ed, what are you talking about?
I don't know, Ed. Let us know.
And Felix is saying every time. Every time. I think he means that positive people support positive people. We will triumph in the end.
Yeah.
Positive will always trump negative.
Yeah. Live in such a way that if people were to talk negative about you, no one would believe them.
Exactly.
You know? Not my words, but a very fucking true quote, you know? And that's how I try to live, you know? Bonnie and I just try to do our best, and we really do wish the best for all of you. Even if you don't wish the best for us, we're just praying for you because you obviously need help.
Yeah, I was really angry at first at some things that are going on in the background of comedy. But now I realize that if you have to create a fake profile page and really destroy people, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and I just feel more sad for you than anything.
Yeah, then you need help, and I'm still gonna get you, but I do feel some pity for you. The anger's going away and the pity is coming.
We're going to the next level, of resentment.
That's all I am. Right. I'm at rage, anger. Now I feel sad for you.
Yeah, we're going to accept it soon.
I'm at the pity stage, because they know they're going to get caught, and it will be so embarrassing for them. And, you just stop it, and we'll stop. That's it.
But I think we might. I don't know if they cut us off, but it's 8:32, Bonnie.
Oh, shit.
Well,
right. Bye, everybody.
We love you guys. Thank you so much. Anything you want to say, Bonnie?
No.
All right. Nothing we want to say. We will see you guys Wednesday.
Mwah, mwah.
A week from today.
Mwah.
Where is my mouth? Where's my mouth?